The second,
Yeah, when I look,
oh, go ahead.
if I may say one thing, if when I look at this problem with like first principles approach, my mind immediately goes to, okay, screw them. Let's just put our own solar and batteries in these buildings and we'll still be better off. Just like in Hawaii, the economics works better for many property owners to cut themselves off from the grid and just put solar and batteries on their property. I mean, with the current trends of cost coming down rapidly, that's going to be the reality in California very quickly. So, but there's also a limitation to selling energy. Like a property owner, I don't think is allowed to legally sell energy to their tenants in California.
You can resell, you are allowed to provide electricity service to your tenants under Public Utilities Code Section 218. An owner that has an electric asset that is generated on site for their own use or the use of their tenants, that's all legal.
Okay.
Allowed to provide service. And there's other sections of Public Utilities Code where an owner that installs an asset is allowed to charge for the electricity service so long as it doesn't exceed the rate of the PPA that they have with like the solar asset developer. Yep. Or the electric utility, whichever is lower. Okay. And the main thing is that under master metering laws and consumer protection laws that are pretty widespread, not just in California, you're not allowed to mark up utility provided power. However, apartment owners are legally allowed to provide their own electric service to their tenants. And so the one thing that the PD really, I think, misconstrues is portions of the law stating that that's not legal when it absolutely is. That's a very plain reading of different public utilities code sections. And so I do think that absent a workable VNEM tariff that's adopted as the successor in this proceeding, we will start to see apartment owners just not engage and either, disconnect completely or install solar and storage assets that do not contribute to our grid needs, which is a horrible unintended outcome and consequence that we don't want and will only exacerbate inequities in the system long term. We don't want grid defection to happen. Regulators should be thinking about and worried about, rightly, customers leaving the grid and defecting, and they should be thinking about how do we incentivize customers to stay connected to the grid when we have, utilities who've been providing subpar service and our grid is antiquated and we're not even able to get interconnection for years sometimes. Right. And figuring out how we can stay connected, incentivize them to stay connected and contribute to the system and meeting our decarb and grid modernization goals. Yeah. So this piece is really going backwards and not really thinking through all of these consequences, as well as ignoring completely the disparate impacts that this decision would have on these underserved renting communities who are, again, overwhelmingly likely to be low income or minority populations. And so there could be potential equal rights protections violations at stake here as well, in addition to a number of other state laws that this PD appears to just simply ignore. So there's a lot at stake here when it comes to our grid modernization goals, empowering energy independence, ensuring renters have fair access to clean energy and receive the same level of benefits that homeowners do. And so there's really a lot here that needs to be changed in order for us to have a tariff that complies with the laws and helps us move forward with all of our various aggressive goals here in California.